If
Go
you
ahead.
had to pick to only ever play home consoles or handheld
Oh,
consoles, what would you
you
pick?
do this to me.
Tough question. Do you want me to go first?
No, I'll take it on, man. Much as I feel weird saying this because we're talking about portables, I would have to go to consoles because consoles are where my best experience were at with games. My
Yeah,
memories are pretty much that's where they started with. I remember when I got my Nintendo the first time, playing Super Mario Brothers. My dad bought me Punch Out, beating Mike Tyson for the first time.
yeah,
All those part of those memories. So I would have to go with consoles. Portables came later. Yeah, I
mhm.
still love them just as much, but I had to choose consoles before portables.
What I will
Um,
let you include though in the question or in the answer
what's that?
is the modern retro handheld emulators, which can also, in fairness, emulate handheld home consoles as well.
Right, right. I mean, the yeah, the Vita could do that too. So I mean, it does
Yeah,
it pretty really well actually. So I could play PS1 games.
it's tough,
I
isn't it?
still I still go with console because
Yeah.
just that memory, So
I think to be fair, I'd agree with you over my life as a gamer. Um,
mhm.
the Game Boy for me was like the first real solid gaming experience over a long period of time. Do you know what I mean? I played the Game Boy so long every day for such a long period
Right.
of time. But straight after the Game Boy, everything was pretty much home consoles. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and
So the
PlayStation
portable was
3.
your first experience.
Portable was my first. Well, no, actually, that's not true. NES was my first experience, but Portable was my first like
You owned it though.
consistent experience. Yeah, I owned the NES, but we only had one
Oh,
TV in the house. It was hard to get a chance to use it. It
mm,
was like more special occasion thing. Game Boy picked it up anytime I wanted to. Um,
perfect.
but like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Metal Gear Solid is my favourite game of all time. PlayStation 2, I had so many amazing memories with my mates playing like Grand Theft Auto, Burnout
Mm.
series. Like, if I had to pick in terms of my whole life as a gamer, I'd pick home consoles, definitely. But if I had to pick right now, if I had to carry on gaming, I'd be very tempted to pick handhelds because it's the way that I can experience gaming the easiest right now.
That's tough, man.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, right now, I mean, if I had to choose between them, oh my gosh, that'd be such a nightmare if I had to choose. Like someone had a gun to my head, say, "Hey, choose one. You got 10 seconds."
it's
God,
tough, isn't it? So I always say as well though, like as a retro gamer as well, it's much easier to get into retro handheld gaming than it is to get into retro home console gaming.
oh,
Because if you go
definitely.
home console, you gotta if you want to do it properly, you gotta get the CRT TVs. It's setting it up. Even if you don't want to do that, you've got to get like you've got to get connections to your modern TV and etc. to do all that. Handhelds, you just pick it up and go. It's ready to go. Get some batteries
Yeah,
in.
and that's I was gonna think about it. I was gonna say this too because you said that. Us being adults, responsibility and stuff like that. Because you have so much responsibility when you're older. You know, what I mean, you
Yeah,
got bills, you got family, you got all kind of stuff. So portable gaming is actually probably the better choice to be honest with you because I could take it wherever I want.
yeah,
Get a game in or whatnot.
yeah.
Um,
And to be fair, we've kind of got it easy these days, and I guess it segues into the next bit I wanted to ask you
yeah.
about. We've got the Switch. That's home console. That's portable as well. That's the cheat answer, really, isn't it?
Hey,
Um,
it's still a go though.
well, it is. It is, isn't it? Especially if you go for the Switch Lite. But so we touched on this a little bit earlier. But what are your thoughts on the effect that the Nintendo Switch has had on handheld gaming? Because I absolutely love the Nintendo Switch, but I feel it's
it
kind of killed handheld gaming in some respects. Do you know what I
it,
mean?
it oh, I know exactly what you mean because it's a hybrid system. You know what I mean? It's like one of the coolest things ever. The Switch did what the Vita should have done.
Yeah,
And I think they took note of with the Vita with the Switch. I feel
yeah.
bad that the Vita never got to that point because it should have. But
It should have definitely.
the problem with that was Sony's. Not saying they were greedy or anything like that, but they were so upset with how the PSP got hacked. Even though they made up money on it, they did make profit on it. They didn't want their systems ever to be hacked, and they had to understand that everything gets hacked eventually. This is
Everything
the way it
does
is.
exactly. Yeah,
So they tried to go out of their way to make sure the Vita didn't get hacked, and it
yeah,
kind of worked against them because they wanted these AAA titles on that system, but you had to buy these expensive memory cards, and they didn't even have the 64. These games were going to be big. They took up a lot of room unless you had just indie titles on there. So those memory cards were so expensive when they first came out. Nobody was buying them.
Yeah.
And then developers,
the console didn't come with any memory to start with, did it?
it did not, man. I don't remember it did. It was.
Yeah, it was the next generation of Vita that eventually came with memory, which even then was barely enough to hold one game.
Yeah, it was like nobody could really enjoy themselves on their system like they want because it was so expensive, and it ended up killing Sony for that. I mean, killing the system for that. Sony abandoned it. I mean, they had let other people make memory cards for it, like cheaper memory cards. It could have did something. Thank God for companies like Limited Run, kind of like pumping out those limited releases and getting that system popular because it lived past its life cycle. But
it's had a life unlike any other, the Vita, hasn't it?
oh yeah, way past its life cycle, and even PlayAsia East Asia Soft is still making games for it, which is great, you know.
Well,
Now
I
going
think
back
there
to
was a release today, actually.
there was it.
Yeah, Mooseman and Winter Daydream.
That's right. That's right. Wow, they're sold out now, but probably. But the Switch has definitely done it because if somebody brought out a portable system now, what can they do to make it better than the Switch? The Switch is a console and a portable. How are you going to beat that?
Yeah.
So it's killed any.
If there was ever any chance of a PS Vita 2, it kind of ended with the Switch being what it is, basically. And the thing for me, I mean, the fact that Nintendo have effectively stopped their handheld lineup says it all. I mean, okay, we've got the Switch Lite, which is technically a handheld, but it's not a dedicated handheld in the way that the DS lineup, the lines were, the Game Boy lines. It's totally changed that, and for me, it's like it is really sad because there was a lot of rubbish games on the DS. Let's be honest, but there was a lot of amazing games as well. Games that you could only experience on the DS, and even to this day, like these handheld retro emulators struggle with DS games because they've not got the dual screen. And I think whether it was like I don't want to say lack of performance because that makes it sound like it's going to be a worse experience, but whether it was to do with having to work with the limitations of a less powerful handheld, or whether it was using the different gimmicks, if you like, whether it was a dual screen or all the stuff that the Vita had with the touchpads and all that, games were able to be genuinely different to what you'd experience on a home console. And some of those games just can't be experienced on a home console. Like Uncharted never made it to the PS4, did it? The PS Vita version of Uncharted, Golden Abyss.
No, because it had the touchscreen stuff in it, so it was made specifically for that system.
And so, I mean, you either love it or hate it, I think, when it comes to stuff like Golden Abyss. But like even some of the other games, like I always say, we wouldn't have Pokemon. But love or hate Pokemon, we wouldn't have Pokemon if it wasn't for handheld gaming.
Right.
And I feel like we've seen the end of that now in terms of the mainstream, like the top three. Do you know
Portable games to me are so easy to get into over like console games because they get to the point. I feel like, especially with the older ones, Pokemon, they teach you how to catch the Pokemon. You go collect all that stuff. If Pokemon came out today, man, there'd be so much customization, so many skins. It'd be so confusing, man. I'm like, a game really. This brings us to mind. Actually, you ever played a game called Back 4 Blood?
No, I haven't. No.
So Back 4 Blood is basically like you ever heard of Left 4 Dead?
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead is like Back 4 Blood is like Left 4 Dead 3, but just not in name.
Yeah.
So those games were fun, great time with them, simple to get into, simple to get out of. They bring out Back 4 Blood. They're the same type of game, but they bring all this customization, all this weird stuff, and these perks. I'm like, I just want to play the game. Why am I? It's confusing, and
Yeah, it is.
Portable games are not like that. I mean, you get into it, and they just have a good way of drawing you in, which has always been good about them. So.
I think some of the best puzzle games as well have come from handheld gaming as well. I forget Mole Mania on the Game Boy.
I just got that recently again. Okay, so I had a copy years ago, and I traded one of my friends at the time because he really wanted it. Then I regretted it after I traded it to him. But Jason, Metal Jesus, had a copy of it, and we did a trade for it because he wasn't really into it. I was like, "Let me get this, Jason." He's like, all right, cool, we'll trade something. And I was like, "Yes, I got this game back again." I was so happy. That game is so cool, and it's only on that system. It's exclusive to that system, as far as we know. You ever played with a Super Game Boy though? It has a little out layer thing. overlay.
I played it. I played Super Game Boy back in the day, but I don't have one in the collection, so I haven't really used it recently.
Yeah, it has like this little overlay thing. It looks pretty cool. But that game is another unique one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Wow.
love it.
Did you get that? Did you guys get that in the UK?
I'm not sure. I bought it about 3-4 years ago. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was a Kelsey Lewin episode that recommended it, and I thought I'd check it out and just loved it. So I just got it on eBay. So I haven't checked actually if it was UK or not. But actually, was the Game Boy region free or not? I don't know.
It should have been.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it should have been.
It could be a US copy that I've got. Not sure.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we got it in the UK, but I'd never heard of it until recently. It reminded me a lot of Kirby. Do you remember Kirby?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of that. Like, it wasn't the same kind of puzzles, but again, like you said, it's simple, easy to get into straight away. It's just like a puzzle, and then you move on to the next room, another puzzle.
That's what and that's what I appreciate about certain games, that they show you how to play. Like, it's not a long tutorial. It's easy to get into and get out of. And like a little bit later in this video, I was gonna show you some of these pickups I got recently. And there's one game I want to show you that reminds me of a Game Boy game, portable game. It's freaking awesome. Actually, got my platinum trophy on the game last night. I was playing it that hardcore, so it's really cool, man.
Actually, correction, I said Kirby. I meant to say Quirk. Do you remember
Quirk.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking you were talking about the Kirby puzzle game, but yeah, right. Quirk was
Quirk
another
was
one.
Like a little red tomato kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was like, for going in different rooms and had to move doors and stuff like that. It reminded me a bit of that style. But like another one of my favourite games of all time on a Game Boy was Donkey Kong. Absolutely loved that, because it obviously starts off standard Donkey Kong, and then it went into the new style that they've gone for.
Yeah.
Game Boy.
The boombox.
That's the only time I ever called the Nintendo helpline. I can't remember what level it was, but I was living in Greece at the time, and I called the Nintendo helpline in the UK because I could not get past this level. And I can't remember what it was, but it was something as simple as like, we'll just do a backflip on this bit, and it's like, oh my god, brilliant.
Oh, and they really gave helpful tips, man. Yeah. Wow, I don't think my parents let me call, because I think it cost money to call them at the time. They're like, no, figure it out. Call nobody. It was pretty funny.
It cost money, but I think I persuaded my parents that one time. I really needed that.
But it's kind of crazy now, because nowadays, if you get stuck somewhere too long, there's like facts out there, people doing YouTube videos about it. And everything's so accessible.
Easy,
it can be. I mean, but we grew up I feel like we grew up in the golden era of portable gaming. So we know what we have to do usually. We'll figure it out. At least, hopefully, we will. But
like I say, I have to admit though, I've had to go to the walkthrough more times than I care to admit on Link's Awakening. Though that one's too tough for 39-year-old Stav. Can't do that.
But yeah, man. Going back to that though, figuring out stuff, man. I just think that if you were the type of gamer to explore, like you were willing to explore stuff in the games you play, you always figure it out. Zelda was probably one of the tougher ones. The hardest game for me though was the finish on my own.
What's that?
I think Zelda 2, Adventures of Link.
Okay.
Whew, man. I think I was like in first grade and I was trying to tackle that game, and that's my favorite Zelda out of all the Zelda games.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and then basically in that game, you have to like remember what new items have you gotten recently. That item might help you figure out what you have to do next. And I started remembering that stuff, and it kind of helped me get further in that game. But man, when I beat that game, I was so overjoyed. Oh, man, I was just a kid, dude. I was like, oh my god. I mean, I felt it was the same joy I felt when I beat Mike Tyson for the first time as a kid. Yeah. Well, I watched my brother beat him in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. My brother beat him by decision, which was weird as hell. Yeah, he got all the way to the third round and beat him by decision, which is crazy. But me, I finally got to the point where I was knocking him out, and I was so happy because Tyson's tough, man. You mess up, you have to have. If you're playing on a Nintendo, you have to be. Your control has to be precise. If you mess up,
you can't do it on emulators. That's one game that shows the weakness of emulators, definitely.
Yeah, because I thought I played on an emulator. I played on the Wii years later because we downloaded it or something like that, and I was playing it. I'll beat Tyson for you guys, no problem. And because I beat it in front of my friends before, they wanted to see it again. I could not beat him because the timing was off. I didn't know that. I thought my skills had just diminished, so I was kind of bummed out. And then I remember Pat, the NES punk, He was on a podcast saying, or he was talking to some, say, hey, yeah, you have to play on the original system, or it's not going to be perfect or whatever like that, because this game you have to be perfect when you move. And he was right. And then I went and played on Nintendo. Hey, I'm knocking him out again. I was feeling good. So
Excellent, happy days. But that talking about emulators, that then brings me on to what do you think about the future of handheld gaming now?